Okay, hi everybody. I am actually back with Bruchy Moskowitz. Bruchy,
Hi.
hi, thanks for coming back.
We're so happy to be here.
Okay, so Bruchy and I actually did an interview and it went really, really well. And I learned so much about things I had never heard about, like psychodrama and using intuitive eating in a totally different way. And so we decided to do a follow-up recording number 2. But tonight
Yes.
we are actually going, instead of just doing an interview, we're actually going to try and attempt to do some sort of experiential um, plan, I guess, experiential, like, I don't know what the
Vignettes, like we would call it vignettes, like little mini, interactive stuff, just to demonstrate what it might look like in practice.
right. And I also want to say that hopefully will be extremely useful for our listeners,
Hmm.
because then they could utilize what we spoke about in our last recording and actually try to do it on themselves or do it with a friend and try to actually, instead of just learning about intuitive eating, they might be able to actually experience it, which is
Hmm.
a lot more powerful.
Right. And what I'll say here is that what we'll be doing now is not therapy at all. I am a therapist, but I'm not doing therapy with you. We're doing role plays to demonstrate what these things might look like in a therapy setting. But we're not doing therapy right now. And with the things that we're doing, I would tell people who are listening to allow this to be more an information piece rather than like something to um, try with a friend, simply because I think doing it with a therapist when you're dealing with your own stuff. Here we're going to be doing role plays, and I'm going to throw out a scenario. You'll take the role, and it'll be different. But when we're dealing with our own stuff, it is always best to, at least in the beginning, do it with a therapist, with someone licensed to actually lead you through it, because a lot of stuff can come up, and we think of these things when we do experiential stuff. It does have an element of play and an element of fun and movement, but it should not be confused with the actual work and stuff that comes up when we do apply these methods. So what we're doing here, what you'll get when you listen or watch this, is very much a sampling of parts of what it might look like in the therapeutic setting. And this is simply to demonstrate the kinds of methodology that are out there to help people struggling with intuitive eating. So definitely, if people are interested, they can always reach out to me if they want to work with me, or if they want a referral to someone who does this kind of work. Because as you'll see now, even with just a couple of vignettes, this work can be deeply transformative. So just want to put that out there as well.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
Yes.
I'm excited. I also want to say that I might, because I'm learning from you, I might interrupt you, like maybe a
Oh,
few times
yes.
to clarify, like if I feel confused, maybe somebody else would. So that,
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's how it would be when we're doing psychodrama or any kinds of role plays in the therapeutic setting as well, especially in the beginning. It might be kind of like interesting to get into it, and questions do come up. So it's always encouraged, and I'll be happy to answer any questions as they come up during the role play.
okay, great.
All right.
Okay, so I am going to pass you the mic and
Okay.
see if you can take the lead here.
All right, absolutely. And we'll be collaborating, and doing this together as we go along. Now, before I create a client for you, is there anything that comes to mind for you? Any themes that you see in clients that you work with that you want incorporated into this fictional client? Because I'm going to make her up right now. So I want to create a fictional character that can most relate to people in the audience.
That's a really good question. So I find that a lot of my clients, I mean, I guess if they're coming to work with me, they're very intrigued by intuitive eating.
Okay.
Some of them are really, they find it very helpful and like liberating, but at the same time, they still hate their body. They still
Mm.
feel like this can't be my body, or even though they said they put weight loss on the back burner, they still expected weight loss from intuitive eating.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So they
So
still,
we might say that this client will be someone, um, let's say it'll be a 30-year-old female, Does that seem like a good median age? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And of course, these issues range from 0 to 100 plus. But let's pick a 30-year-old female. Let's give her a name. Pick a name out of a hat. I don't know. Any name?
Let's do Adina because I'm writing an article and we're using that code name.
You're doing Adina? Okay, so Adina is 30 years old, female. She found intuitive eating, perhaps online, and was very intrigued by it. And it spoke to her, and she is starting to apply the principles. Yet there is one thing that constantly keeps coming up for her is she kind of like finds herself stepping on the scale, looking in the mirror, checking her clothes to see like, am I losing weight? Am I losing weight? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Any other details that you want to add to this character that will make her come more alive to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She grew up in a home that there was constant diet talk or body shaming.
Okay.
So even though she's aware of it and trying to change that self-talk, it's just she's finding that that's her usual self-talk, which is negative body image, negative self-talk towards herself, towards her food choices. Yeah.
Great. That's a good background info. And let's just kind of create a little bit more of what's going on with her life right now. Is she a parent? Is she a professional? Is she both? Is she in a relationship? Like, can we give her a little bit of spice in life?
Yeah, I would say she's married with, I'm really trying to make it not me, but like a lot of my clients are similar to me. So.
Oh, absolutely. And it's okay if it's inspired by you. Like, we're all 10% away from each other. So
right. That's true. So I would say she has 4 kids. Because most of my clients who are that age probably do have that amount of kids. And she is a career woman also.
Okay.
I'm not sure what career she has, but she's overwhelmed, needless to say. She's married, she has 4 kids, and she has a job, so.
Got it. So she's maybe a speech therapist. So
yeah.
She's doing some stuff. Okay, yeah. All right. So she's got her life going on. All right. So let's start. You will take the role of Adina for this, for the next couple of minutes, and we'll have a conversation and kind of talk it out, and we'll lead it into some kind of like experiential piece. All right?
Hold on. Can we make her 40?
You want to make her 40?
Yeah, because I need her to be separate from me, and I also, that is probably closer to my average client age.
Absolutely. So she's 40 years old. Adina is 40 years old.
Yeah.
All right. So, Gila, if you'll take the role, kind of sit into a space where you become 40-year-old Adina with 4 kids. You're a speech therapist. You found intuitive eating. You're struggling with weight loss, though. Let me know when you're there.
Okay, I have to do this. I can do this. Okay, I'm here.
All right. And you can, you're here. Hi, Adina. I'm Bruchy. How are you?
Hi, Bruchy. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. So, Adina, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, wait. Are we like in an intuitive eating like session right now?
Yeah, we're gonna go towards intuitive eating, but you can tell me a line or two just about who you are, because I want to help you get in the role. In Psychodrama, what we do is like we help you take on the role. So this will be kind of you telling me who you are as Adina.
Okay, got it. So I'm Adina.
Hi.
I'm 40 years old. I have 4 kids. They're so cute. Love them.
Okay.
I'm a speech therapist.
Okay.
And I've always struggled with my body and my weight.
Okay.
As far back as I could remember, like I was probably 4 or 5. And I remember my mother telling me I had to go on a diet, and I ate too much. And I just always felt a lot of shame and guilt around my body, and a lot of hatred towards my body, like something was wrong with my body, like because I would try to lose the weight, and I was always a motivated type of kid, like I did well in school, and I was a rule follower, but for some reason the weight never stayed off, and I just always felt so bad about myself because of that.
Yeah, that's a lot for a little kid. And it sounds like it's still something you're kind of dealing with today.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I recently like stumbled upon intuitive eating, And
how did you stumble upon it?
I guess I Instagram.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of information out there.
yeah.
That's
It seems-
great. Hmm.
Well, actually, I was following a lot of weight loss accounts, and
Okay.
I always had that like image in my head, like the before and
Yeah.
after, like that would be me
Yeah.
one day. And
Sure.
then,
Sure.
yeah, so I just always had like that hope and dream. Like I would find that one diet that worked for me, like
Yeah.
I tried all the diets out there, and
Yep.
I just,
And what was your vision of the after picture of you? Like, what did you have in mind when you would look at these accounts?
I viewed myself in a totally different body, like a thin body, like a size 2.
Size
And,
two.
and I was happy, I was smiling, and like, I just felt really good about myself. Like, and I
Mhm.
knew that everyone would congratulate me and tell me how amazing I am. And I was just
Yes.
like, I'm just always hoping for that picture,
Mhm.
really.
Okay. Okay. And you were seeing all these accounts, so it kept like letting you know that it's possible.
Yeah. And then I guess like I saw a few accounts like connected to those accounts, like with the hashtag intuitive eating. And I was like, oh,
Oh.
I was intrigued. Like, does that mean I can eat whatever I want? Is that like the new diet?
Yeah, yeah, because they have all these interesting diets. Some of them, you could eat everything for a couple of weeks and then nothing, and then on and off. So like I can see how it would be intriguing and kind of pull you in.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I started to notice like some accounts saying like that it's not about the weight, or that like you could love yourself even if you are in a larger body. And like that just seemed like so absurd to me after all those years of
Course.
hearing a different message. Like,
Yes.
you have weight loss equals health, weight loss
Yep.
equals happiness. And I want to embrace intuitive eating so badly, but I just really want to be in a smaller body and lose weight.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing that definitely there's a part of you that is feeling connected to the intuitive eating messages and is inspired and intrigued by it. Yet there's maybe another part that is not fully on board. Like internally, if you had like different parts telling you things, there's one part that says maybe, oh, intuitive eating is really interesting. But then another part is like, no, what do you mean? We're not going to be skinny?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And it's also interesting to note the way you mentioned how your mother, was it your mother that told you a lot of these things when you were little about, losing weight, dieting and health and all of these messages, or was it someone else?
It was my whole family, my mother, my father, my siblings, because I was the only one in a larger body, really. So
Okay. So this kind of made you different than the rest of the family.
definitely.
Ah, yeah, yeah. So I would say that in addition to having different parts going on inside of you, right? Like imagine if there's a garlic and there's all these different pieces of the garlic, like all of them have a different say on the matter, on everything. When we go shopping for something, we might look at something and we have a part of us that says, ooh, this looks really good, I want to buy it. And another part that says, oh, I look at the fabric, it's going to wrinkle, maybe I shouldn't buy it. Like that's something simple, but all these parts have a say. When it comes to other stuff, we have all these little pieces of the garlic, all these parts say something as well. So with intuitive eating, a lot of different parts are going to tell us different things. So in addition to that, there's also what I'm hearing, that there's a voice that keeps talking to you, a voice that kind of dates back to when you were little. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yes, I think that's accurate.
So do you want to maybe engage with that voice and have a conversation?
With the voice from when I was little?
Yeah, and I'll guide you through it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So if you could tell me in a couple of lines, what does that voice say to you?
Um,
And this could be inspired by, like you said, your mother, your father, siblings, because you were the one who was different. So these voices could be inspired by a lot of people in your life. But right here, right now, when you're thinking about that voice that keeps saying things. What is it saying?
It says, Adina, you're such a good girl. Why can't you just listen to me and eat what I say? And why can't you just lose weight? Like if you were really that good, you would listen to me.
What else?
Or,
Keep going.
no one's gonna like you if you stay in a larger body. Like that's not acceptable. It's not an acceptable way to look. It's not an acceptable way to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stay that way, it's really your fault.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. What else?
If you just tried like a little bit harder, you would be really pretty, and then people would like you better.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And you'd be successful, and you'd have more friends, and you do so well in school. Why can't you do well at this? Why are you so incompetent in this area? Like we're all thin, and we all like to eat in a certain way. Why don't you like to eat in a certain way? Like how could you be a part of this family in that body? By the way, this was not my experience, Gila, but I am feeling a visceral reaction, just so you know.
That is what it is to take on the role. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going back to Adina.
Yes. Sink into it. And here's where I might introduce the concept. And again, this would be typically done with someone who I've been working with for a little bit. So this wouldn't be in a first session typically. But I think we spoke about the concept of doubling, where again, if it was in person, I might go behind the person and ask permission to put my hand on their shoulder and say what else I think might be under the surface. And if it resonates, the person would repeat it. And if not, you'll change it and put it in your own words. So now, since you're speaking for the part, Adina, of yourself, that voice, could I double for you and say what I think, what else might be in that voice that voice that keeps talking to you?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Adina, if you just lost weight, like you'd be a better person. Like this really is reflecting. This is reflecting who you are as a person. Like, could you not have just a little bit more self-control, like a little bit more? Repeat it if it's right, or change it if it's different, Adina.
Yeah, Adina, if you just had a little bit more self-control, then you would be more acceptable. This really does reflect on your character, on your worthiness. Mm-hmm. This behavior, this look is reflective on who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if this inspired any other thoughts, any other kind of narratives for that part, let it flow. Because we want to really give voice to that voice that you're carrying around.
Okay, so now I'm really in Adina's mind, I feel like, and I'm thinking like, this is how I'm feeling. Like you're really disgusting. Like you are you're unworthy, and like you obviously don't care about your body. If you could look this way, if you could treat it this way, yeah, you're not. We don't really want you in this family. If you continue on like this.
Mm-hmm. Can I double?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think with all these? You look at all these after pictures, right? All these women. What do you think? Like, don't you think like there are women who are so much more attractive than you? Like, and look at you. You're married, and this is who you are to your husband. Really? I know that's big for a lot of women. So if that resonates, repeat it. If not, change it.
Okay. I have to remember what you said, but
yeah, let it take its own form. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever see those before and after pictures? Like if you can't become that after picture, like that just shows that you don't really care about your husband and your relationship with your husband, because if you did, you would work harder. And you can't be in a loving relationship with your husband if you continue to look like this.
Anything else? Anything else coming up in that area? Comparing yourself to other people, that voice comparing you to other people.
Honestly, I'm just, as Gila, I'm feeling really bad for my clients right now. Like, I'm really feeling their pain. Like, I work so hard to change that narrative that I'm having a painful time even
Yes.
saying these words.
Yeah, sitting in the role. Yes, it's so, you're sitting in it. Yes, I can feel it with you.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. Like, even though I'm role playing, I feel
Yes.
a lot of pain for like anyone who has, and I know people obviously who've experienced this exact. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Adina. Although I don't know how much longer I could stay in her
Okay.
it's yeah, okay. I see so many other marriages and they're so much happier than me, and it's because the woman is prettier and smaller, and it doesn't really matter what I do as a mother or as a professional.
Speak from the voice, because it sounds like that's more of, is that more of what the voice is telling you? Like your marriage would be better if you were skinnier, you'd be a happier mother if you were skinnier. Is that the voice, or does that feel like a different part?
Did I switch parts?
You spoke from I rather than the voice speaking, right? Because when you speak from voice, you speak to yourself, to Adina.
Okay, fine. So I have to say you.
Yeah, because you're speaking from the part of yourself that is telling you all these things. Yeah.
Okay. You would be nothing that you do really matters as a mother and as a professional, because you're useless because of the way you look. You can't even follow a diet. Like, you can't even, why do I have to always eat carbs? Like, why do I have to? And like, so many people out there don't. Like, I see it on Instagram. I see them posting their beautiful pictures of themselves and how amazing they feel, and that's all I want. All I want is that after picture, that amazing feeling that they are all saying that they have.
Mm-hmm. So Adina, I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg of what that voice is, especially since you've been carrying this for, decades, right? You're 40 now, you've been carrying these messages from when you were very little. So what we're gonna do now is really, again, since this is the tip of the iceberg, we're gonna really just look at it a little bit, and there's so much more to go. But what would it be like for you to respond to that voice a little bit? And I'll help you if it gets difficult. And are you okay trying that?
Sure.
All right, so let's do this. Is there a space in your room, maybe another chair or another, like a section of your desk or somewhere where you can kind of put the voice down so that you could speak with it, so that you could engage with it?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me which spot you located so that we can kind of just.
So in my office, there's a chair right, like, looking at potential client.
Okay, so you're looking at the chair.
Yeah.
Where your speech therapy client might be sitting at, Adina, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So so if you can kind of just energetically like put the voice there and like let it sit there.
The voice that I was just speaking.
Yes, the voice that you just embodied, that voice that is telling you all of these things.
Okay.
Okay, and let me know when it's on the chair, separate from you, so that you could talk to it rather than from it.
Okay, it's on the chair.
Okay, and can you describe it to me? What does it look like as a shape, a color, a size?
I'm getting like a green monster.
Okay, and monster, what kind of monster? Like, does it have eyes, teeth, fangs, a nose, hair, or not?
Yeah, like, from Monsters Inc., like the green one.
Okay, I don't know exactly which one, but I'll definitely look it up. But it sounds like you have a very vivid image. Is it big, small, like what?
Yeah, it's a big green monster that has eyes and big teeth, and it's like ferociously mean.
Okay, so not a friendly monster.
No.
Okay, okay. And it's sitting there on the chair, embodying the voice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just starting out, what would you like to say to that voice?
Don't ever speak to me like that. Can I look at it?
Keep going. Yeah, you can look at it. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a horrible way to speak to someone. Am I saying it in the right tense?
You're speaking to the voice. The
The
voice.
Okay.
Yeah. The voice is constantly speaking to you. So now you put it on a chair. You separated it from yourself for a moment, and you said, "Hey, I got a couple of words for you too."
Right. Okay. I don't believe that my worth has anything to do with my body size. And that's not fair for a child to carry around. That's too heavy. That's too painful for a child or an adult to carry around. And I hate you.
What do you hate about it?
I hate that you've taken up so much of my headspace and energy and hurt me for at what cost? Like, for what reason? Why would you do that to me? I don't believe that someone who loves someone else would talk to someone like that, or would value them just on the way they look, or even the way that they eat. I don't believe that that's a reason to berate someone.
Can I double for you, Adina?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you've been berating me for so long that I see you as just a part of who I am, and it hurts. You're heavy to carry around. Repeat if it's right, change it if it's different.
You've been berating me for so long, and it really hurts. It's too much for me to carry. It's too heavy. It's too, like, inhumane. Like, it's not the way I want to live my life. It's not the belief system I want.
Now, at this point, I would invite you to reverse roles so that you could speak, Adina, as the part of the monster, and the monster will sit. You will become the monster for a moment, the voice, and answer back to what Adina just said. So if it was feasible, you would get up and sit in the chair of the monster. I don't know if that's feasible.
Yeah, I could do that.
You can do that? Okay, great.
Let me switch the camera. Hold on.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, let's do this. Right. So now I'm in the monster chair.
You are the voice now. Yes, you are the green monster from Monsters Inc. and you are the voice. And you heard what Adina just said, right? You heard Adina just spoke to you. She had a couple of complaints. So what do you answer to that, voice monster?
You're really talking nonsense. Like, what are you saying? It's not true at all. If you're fat and you don't listen to me, then you are worthless. Like, what's this nonsense that you're making up about like my belief system being wrong? Like, of course, if you're in a larger body, something's wrong with you.
Can I double for you, voice?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Adina, I'm just trying to help you. I know this world. I'm just trying to help you. So.
Yeah. It's like meaner than that. Like.
So yeah, take it on.
You will not like become anything if you don't listen to me. Like, I know what's right. Like, I've been around much longer than you, and this world is a fierce world. If you don't look a certain way, you are not a certain way. And like, you really ought to listen to me, because otherwise you will end up fat and alone.
Voice, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
I'll let you get back to Adina in a moment. So you said you've been around much longer than her. How long have you been around?
Well, I guess I don't really know how to answer that from like, I guess I'll just say whatever I think, but I've been around since I know that women in this world don't matter if they're not beautiful. And in this world, beautiful is always meant thin to me. So however long that is, I don't know.
And in Adina's life, how long have you been around? Specifically for Adina.
Okay, since Adina's been born.
Oh, okay. So since she was like literally a baby, like just
Right.
was born. Yeah. 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 And her family, like, did you help? Did you kind of stick around with with her siblings, parents too? Like, did you?
I think that I've always been like in Adina's family, her life.
So you know her well. You know her intimately.
Right. I know her, the atmosphere.
Yeah. 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 And what's your hope for Adina? Like, what do you hope for her?
I hope that Adina would just listen to me. Like she would just be the way I wanted her to be. And then I would be happier.
Because what do you fear? Usually when we have a hope on the other side, there's a fear. You know how that is sometimes with humans. So how do you, what's the fear on the other side of the hope? Like if Adina doesn't listen to me, what are you most terrified would happen to her, or what would happen?
People like laugh at her. Like they just won't. Yeah, she's such a hardworking person. Like, why can't she just show the world that she can do this? She's capable. Like, why can't she just show up and be capable like we all think she is?
Because if not, you're saying people will laugh at her and shame her.
Right.
Oof. Have you seen that happen to some people? Like in your travels, have you seen that happen?
Yeah, I have. I mean, like, like it's so important to be part of, like to fit in. It's so important to fit in.
Well, it sounds like you've seen a lot. You've seen what could happen to. You've seen what has happened to women when they didn't fit in. What has happened to people when they were shamed because of their bodies, and oh wow! So you're kind of scared for her.
Yeah.
It sounds like under all that, the fangs and the meanness, you're kind of like almost looking out for her. Does it? Does that resonate?
Yeah, like I know. Yeah, I know. Like as long as you show up in the world the way people want you to, you'll go far.
Okay. Well, thank you, Voice, for having this conversation. I think it definitely enlightened me a little bit about who you are. And, all right. So, is there anything you want to tell Adina before we give her the mic again?
Okay, I have to just talk as you. Like that was really powerful. I have a lot to say, but no,
Okay, we're gonna get to it. Yes, we're gonna get to it.
Okay, I have nothing else to say to Adina.
Okay, reverse roles.
Okay, here we go.
So, Adina, you heard a little bit from the Voice. What was it like, Adina, to hear the Voice speak to you and then to hear me interview the Voice a little bit? What was that like, Adina?
I feel afraid that she's right, that the Voice is right. Like what if that is true? What if I would be happier if I lost weight, or people would like me more if I lost weight? Like, isn't that like everything in this world, like to just be loved and accepted and to fit in?
It definitely sounds like the Voice believes that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're kind of questioning, like, maybe the Voice is right.
I am questioning that, but I also feel like I don't want to believe that.
So there's a part of you that, even though it hears the voice and it hears that some parts of you believe it, is saying like, no, that doesn't sit well with me.
I don't want to believe it.
Yeah, maybe a tiny part that says like, no, I don't want to believe it.
Yeah, I don't want to believe it. And I think that voice is struggling with its own acceptance.
So do you want to say anything? We have just a few minutes and we're going to wrap up in a moment. And again, this work, Adina, we touch a little bit of it and then we close it up and then we'll come back and open it again because there's so many layers to go. It's not all going to be resolved today, but a little bit will be opened, resolved, and looked at today. So for right now, from where you're at, you're sitting with hearing what the voice said, with wondering about it, with some parts of you maybe believing it, other parts of you saying, no, I don't want to believe it. What do you want to tell the voice? The voice is sitting on that chair. What do you want to tell it from where you're sitting right now?
I want to tell the voice that
I want to tell you.
I want to tell you that even though it sounds like you're trying to help me, you're really hurting me. And I appreciate you trying to help, but I see that you're really hurting me and you're telling me things that I don't want to believe.
Is there anything you'd like to ask from the voice, a favor, anything that can help you as we close up this session today? And again, like I said, we're going to keep coming back and keep communicating with the voice because after all, right now, it is a part of you. So we don't want to push it away. We want to engage with it, but we want to remember that engaging with it doesn't give it power, right? It gives you power to remember that you are a person in this situation. So is there anything that you want to tell this voice? You can ask it anything. Since it's a part of you, you can ask it anything. You can ask it to give you some space. You can ask it to be kinder. You can ask it to speak a little bit lower so it's not that loud. You can, whatever you're feeling you need from the voice over the next couple of days. What do you want to ask from it?
Okay, please don't talk to me for a few days while I figure out how I feel about you.
Okay. Now, I might guess that, I can hear how badly you want the voice to just be quiet. But since it's been talking incessantly for years, it might have a really hard time not talking. So if there's anything, and again, if we had more time, we would do kind of a role play back and forth for you and the voice to negotiate something, right? Because the voice might say, no, I'm not being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you could ask something that you think is reasonable that the voice might agree to, almost like a negotiation, because it's very valid for you to want the voice to be completely quiet. If there's any kind of negotiation that you can think of that can work for you and for the voice.
Tell me if I could say this, but yeah. I would like to explore a gentler approach, like intuitive eating. And with intuitive eating, weight loss is something that we put on the back burner. So I would really like to lower the voices about weight loss for a little bit.
I want to lower your voice.
I want to lower your voice about dieting and weight loss and body bashing, even just for a little bit, so I could do some exploring.
Mm-hmm. And you could physically lower the volume. You could kind of point towards that and lower the volume.
Okay.
Okay. And now, can you say anything to the voice to reassure it that you're not shutting it out completely? Because again, this voice clearly thinks it's helping you. The way the voice said earlier that, it's looking out for Adina, it's looking out to make sure that she doesn't get laughed at. Is there anything that you can tell the voice in terms of letting it know that you're aware of it, you're not ignoring it, but that you want to learn to engage with it differently? Anything that you can tell the voice? Because it's a big monster, but it's kind of scared on the inside. So if there's anything you can do to just reassure it.
Okay. I don't want to get rid of you, but I want to learn more about you. But because of the pain that I'm feeling right now, I want to I want to engage with you in a different way, maybe at a different time.
Okay. Anything else? Any last things you want to say to the voice? And again, it's last things for right now. We will keep coming back to it and keep working on it and exploring with it. So if there's anything else that you want to let it know before we close out this part of the session.
Thank you for trying to help, and I will get back to you.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now, before we dive back into Gila and Bruchy, if you can go to that chair and kind of like de-roll it, where you would kind of just like do this and say, the voice is not sitting here, the monster is not sitting here. So that chair becomes kind of like clean. You can do that now.
Okay.
Yeah, de-rolling. Yeah.
Okay, the monster's not here.
Mm-hmm. The voice is not on the chair. Yeah.
It's not on the chair.
Okay, great.
No one's here, right? No one's here?
Right, exactly. Like the voice, the chair, the voice is not there. Like we're kind of rolling the chair from the voice.
Okay, should I sit on it or no?
No, you don't have to. You're just kind of de-rolling the chair because that's where we put it.
Okay.
Okay, and you can come back to your chair.
Okay.
And if you can de-roll as Adina, I'm not Adina, I am Gila.
I am not Adina, I am Gila.
All right, and I'm Bruchy. Hi.
Hi.
I'm not we did a role play. I'm Bruchy, I'm here on the podcast with you. So.
I have to really think about that, Yes.
So that was a little snippet of one technique that we use in psychodrama. And the technique is, role play, role reversal. We did a little bit of doubling. This is very, very basic. It's one of the basic ingredients of what psychodrama looks like in action.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It was weird because I didn't want to be Gila because I know myself, I will tap into that other world easily. But
Yes.
even in Adina, I was really feeling triggered and
yes. Yeah.
I see why it's so powerful because you could talk and talk and talk, but unless
Yes. What we don't have a lot of time to kind of delve into it, and I know you have your support system and your people where you can take the triggers that came up. But if there's anything you want to put out there, was there anything significant? I know a couple of times in the middle you kind of took a break and said wow, this is big, this is powerful. But is there anything that's sitting with you right now that you want to put out there in right now?
Yeah, I want to say I guess to the moms listening, your voice is so powerful. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a mother is ever trying to hurt a child. I really don't. I mean, unless they're ill, but a well-meaning parent is not trying to hurt a child. But the way that we internalize our mother's voice and the way that we go about our world, even as adults, is I don't know, even if it's slightly critical, it's so strong and it's so important. And as much as I try to help my clients, change the narrative, even it's just so hard. And it's not I don't want to scare mothers because I know I am a mother and I don't want it to be oh my God, everything I say is gonna ruin their life. Mm-hmm. But I guess maybe if you just ask yourself, even saying something to yourself, if I were to look in the mirror and say Gila, if you eat that, no one's gonna like you, or if you were a little skinnier, you'd be a lot prettier. I would feel horrible if someone said that to me. And I, even as I'm saying it, it feels horrible. So just try to visualize or even role play in yourself what a sentence feels like in your own body, because children internalize things even more than adults. And that's really important, that we're giving them positive messages, not false messages, but positive ones.
Helpful messages rather than unhelpful ones. Yes. Yeah. Very, very powerful. The power that parents have for the inner voices of the child. And we were dealing here with a fictional character, a woman, Adina, who's 40 years old and is still carrying the voice of her parents, of her family, of people in her life who were adults when she was little, and that voice is still there. And very likely she may be passing some of it along to her own children, because what we don't process, we repeat, right?
Mhm.
We don't just stop cycles without knowing what we're carrying. So yeah, it was very, very powerful to do this role play and to demonstrate what it might look like to really go there and say to the voice, hey, you've been with me for a really long time. I'm going to be brave and actually engage with you.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said before, like I'm new to IFS, and I'm reading the book Self Therapy now, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm not an expert at all in any way, but
And for me as well, this is, you know, I'm early in my career, and this is something that I'm learning about continuously as I go along. And the more I learn, the more I can apply. But the power of this work is just so palpable in the room when we do it. It's beautiful.
yeah, I will say that I took the intuitive eating training with Evelyn Tripoli, one of the authors of intuitive eating, and she said that like for one of the principles, it's called making peace with food. And that's where you actually will eat a food that you're afraid of, like over and over again, I guess, like exposure therapy. And usually what happens is that that particular food that was such a trigger food becomes no big deal. Like you could see it and eat one piece of cake and move on. But like, whereas when you're stuck in diet culture, like you can never do that. Like if you eat it, then you eat the whole cake. If you don't eat it, then whatever. And I remember Evelyn saying that she's had so many clients experience that, and that was the most powerful teacher. Like I could teach you about intuitive eating from today till tomorrow, but until you feel that in your own body, I can't really teach it to you. You have to experience it.
Right. The experiential piece is just, it takes it to the next level. And I think similar to what you're saying about kind of exposing ourselves to different foods, it's similar to these parts. The more we expose ourselves, and gently, gently with compassion and with a safe other, with a therapist, with someone who can guide you through it, the more we allow ourselves to be exposed to these parts and engage with them, the less of a big deal they become.
That's really interesting.
Right? It's like a similar concept. It's like they instead of being this thing to be fearful of, and every time we eat, we're like, did the voice see? Did the monster see?
Right.
Instead, it's like, oh, hello, yeah, hi, monster, how you doing? Yeah, I'm eating some cake. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it becomes like a relationship builds where, because again, when we were talking from the voice of the part, it was clear that the part has a whole personality in and of itself. It's fearful. It's worried about Adina being shamed. It's really going through its own process. So the more we befriend it gently with compassion, we can really kind of get to know it. And instead of being fearful of it, we engage with it as it's safe to do so. And we remember where our power lies.
Right. And I was also like, when I was in the voice that was like mean and berating, like I just felt like in my own body, I felt like real compassion for my clients who are struggling with, like you would ask yourself, like, how are they still struggling with this? Like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but like it doesn't matter, because that wasn't even me. And I was like, wow, this is like, I'm in pain. I'm in so much pain right now. Like just that people in this world experience this continuous negative self-talk and this horrible body image, and it's like, it's just so sad. And it's like, this work is just so necessary, because like why do we have to live in a world where women are shamed for being in any type of body, you know?
Right. Yes.
It's really interesting, and I feel like I have to process for myself, but like,
Absolutely. And I would encourage you, just Bruchy Tequila. I would tell you definitely process it any way you would process anything else that's been coming up, in terms of like your own journey. But whether it's journaling, speaking to supportive others, if you need to meditate on it, like anything to either ground you or to help you release, I would definitely recommend that. Again, just professional to professional. You probably know this, but when these things come up, even if it was a role play and it was a fictional character, but still when we step into that role, our stuff just magnetically attaches to the role and it comes up. That's why in psychodrama, a lot of people will say, like usually one person at a time in each group meeting gets to kind of do their own drama, and people will say, and other people get picked for different roles, and sometimes people ask, like, so people who are playing a role, do they get healing from it as well? And you see, like, this is a character we made up right here on the spot, and stuff came up, and you became like, parts of you became attached to the character. And that'll happen in psychodrama all the time. No matter which role we're playing, anything within us that resonates with that role will come to the surface, and that gets worked through. And definitely, if you're listening to this and something came up for you, I highly recommend, reach out to a supportive other, journal about it, release what you can. If you need to move, kind of shake your body and let things out. If you need to ground yourself and kind of bring yourself back down, definitely try meditation. There's, a ton of even, body love meditations on YouTube. There's a wealth of that. So if you need to do something like that, or self-love, to kind of allow what came up to just like integrate, and whatever needs to be released, let it be released, and continue processing it wherever you do your processing.
Wow. Okay. So I guess our time is up, but if there's anything you want to add.
I think this kind of work really speaks for itself, especially when we do a role play like this. So I want to repeat, what I said earlier, whatever is coming up for you, take good care of yourself. And if this is inspiring you to get more involved in any kind of experiential work, please know that I'm a resource. Whether you want to work with me or you want a referral to someone else, let me know. I can definitely connect you with people who do this kind of work, and help you take where you're at in your journey right now and like upgrade it to the next level. Because like Gila was saying earlier, when we do it, when we embrace the experiential piece of it, it takes on a life of its own. So for a lot of people doing intuitive eating, I know that a lot of people who work with me come to me at a point where they say, like, I get it, I know the principles, I understand it up here, but I'm having a really hard time. I'm feeling stuck. I still feel like I'm being held hostage by different parts of me.
Mm-hmm.
So taking it to that experiential level has the power to release a lot of things that feel like they're keeping us stuck and holding us hostage, and allow us to reclaim so much that gets lost over the years when we're exposed to diet culture and body shame and all these different kinds of trauma. So we all deserve to have it reclaimed. And if you're listening to this and you're inspired, please take the next step. Reach out, make it happen for yourself. You deserve it.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll put all that in the show notes and like wherever they can find you. And it's been a pleasure. I learned so much.
Likewise. Thank you, Gila. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye.